Welcome back to this track just across the Mississippi River, WWTFD, round 5 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship. I'm Jared Deanna. Joining me up here in the booth is Jacob Gettens. Here is our first battle, seeding brackets, Pro, round 5. Trent Beecham will lead that ESR BMW as you saw them stroll their way through the rain. No umbrellas out, sun's out, guns out, or the rain's out, and a little bit of angles out. Here we go. So Trent Beecham in that first outside zone. Here goes Ben Hobson into the second outside zone. You can see navigating there, just tucking in. Good angle there from Trent Beecham. Now bringing it very fluid into that third outside zone. Beecham throwing up some steam, and Ben Hobson tucked in nicely. This is good practice because you don't know what kind of conditions we are going to be seeing on game day on Saturday. But there goes Beecham crossing the finish line, and look at that. Ben Hobson brings it across. Good job. Here goes Ben Hobson out of the gate. His signature pink lights running on through. Now tucking in formation, tip to tail, initiating at the same time. Trent Beecham, Ben Hobson rolling on in into that first outside zone. Let's see this transition here. Nice and fluid as Hobson. Looks like Beecham was already out there before Ben Hobson even got out there. Now Beecham tucking into the pocket, mimicking the angle. Now coming to that third outside zone. Here goes Hobson and Beecham crawling their way through. And again, just you hit one of those puddles, could absolutely throw you for a loop. Now coming to this final outside zone. Well done. Performing slow-mo surgery here on that last outside zone. Go with split decision, and Trent Beecham 2-2-1. So this is our seating bracket. Andy Haley in that great looking Evil AutoWorks BMW. Gotta love him. Dmitry Brutsky, a very proven driver, and this should be a good, fairly equally matched drive right here. Look at this, coming in blazing. Actually really good speed there. Good commitment from Andy Haley. He pulls away. So not as consistent as we saw from Hobson and Beecham. You can see kind of going back and forth, really kind of more of a stabbing motion with this BMW. Now finally, ooh, there goes, you can see Haley Brutsky. Where are you going, buddy? Oh boy, we got total chaos. It's the contrarian to that. It's actually gripping up. So here we go with Brutsky. You know, he's got a lot of experience driving in the rain. Basically his hometown track is E-Town, as again, Brutsky picking up a new sponsor, talking about boring cars, but not the boring you're thinking, a boring ride, a private car collection. So far from boring is Brutsky. Far from boring Brutsky. Brings it into that outside zone and transitions into the last outside zone. Goes Brutsky. Well, good job for him navigating through there. And here's that weird strawberry candy that has dust all over it. Here you go. Thank you, buddy. Dmitry Brutsky gets the win. All right, here we go. Austin Mata will lead. Nick Novak will give chase as we are ripping out of that start chicane, tip to tail. Boom, Mata throws it in. There's smoke. I'm liking this. Yes, sir. Dry that thing out like the opposite of Zamboni machine. Don't smooth this thing out. Let's get rough. Let's get weird. Mata into that second. Nick Novak does have good proximity. Mata keeping it sideways good. You can see the counter there. Minimal corrections from Mata in that third outside zone. Novak tucks in, shoots in on the inside, but Mata gets to the outside zone. So Novak anticipated maybe diving in, but has to bring it on back. Is coming down the chute. Austin Mata comes in, and both of them initiating almost simultaneously. Novak lacking the angle from this angle of the camera, and now coming to that second outside zone. Mata dives in on the inside to that second outside zone. Novak very deep. Mata shallow, kind of off the wall, but Novak dials it in. So it looks like they're almost alternating positions, not just as far as lead and chase, but very similar lines with Novak out front. Mata seems to have a little bit more composure in the chase, though, coming across shaky, but had the car in the right place. Now going to the judges on this, Austin Mata, Nick Novak. Novak gets a 1, a 2, and a 3 vote. All right, so again, we will see that car on Saturday doing a couple burnies, little things, but Shinji Manoa will be ripping around. Right now, speaking of ripping around, we got Fiorella with, we're talking about the one and only Federico Sciarrifo going against Jack Shanahan. Shanahan knows his conditions. We always definitely toot that Irish horn, but Fiorella, this big old Ferrari, could definitely handle the wet as well. Jack Shanahan, he's surging forward, maybe just keep it consistent as opposed to surging that BMW tight and right. And we can see Federico Sciarrifo looks like he is very settled, comfortable in this Ferrari, pulling around the track. And that was probably, you know, Let's see how he manages, see how he handles, and see if what I said comes to fruition. Transitions into and across the nose of the Ferrari, and there we go, Jack Shanahan. This is what I expected, that 59, the BMW, great looking car. Nice little pocket rocket coming into that second outside zone, and look at that Federico Sciarrifo, that big old Ferrari making that BMW look like just that. Goes up, hits that K-rail, and you can see that K-rail jumps the car up, but he keeps on keeping on. In that last outside zone, Shanahan, I mean, absolutely, you know, so here it is, one more time, very deserved. Moving on and back to the one more time battle of Federico Sciarrifo and Jack Shanahan. Here comes Federico Sciarrifo, and there is Shanahan, tip to tail. Yeah, the new tires, I mean, why not? So there's smoke, there's a little bit of steam, and there is definitely some debris in the windscreen. Now coming into that third outside zone, look at Fetty, you see minimal corrections going to that third outside zone. Very well calculated there. You can see the bright yellow gloves working his way on into that last outside zone, and Shanahan tucking in.
Yeah.
He is bald. All right, here we go. Let's change the order here. Jack Shanahan out front, Federico Sciarrifo in the chase position. In that first outside zone, as I said, that's the Shanahan we know and love. And now Fetty, he gives it back. He twists the screws. They might be Italian, but yeah, they're screws nonetheless. It's a spicy meatball coming in sideways. Now Jack Shanahan in that third outside zone, navigating to the fourth. No one more times. They're going to force an opinion upon the judges and upon you. Here we go. Shanahan, Fetty. Man, line him left for Fetty, right for Jack Shanahan, and Shanahan wins again. No drop in the top on the convertible there right now, but Mr. Cool, that's that name. That name again is Mr. Cool. Here comes that Cadillac into that first outside zone. What's blue and silver and smoky all over these two guys. And you can see going to that second outside zone. Good angle. Oh, and Jonathan Hurst backs in those 3D printed Cadillac taillights. Comes at an angle quite a bit. Goes back into it. Firing up. What is happening here? There's fire everywhere going off in this car. 4th of July was a couple weeks ago, so zero chill for the Mr. Cool Cadillac. So you know what? He's not going to call it. So the Pride of Paducah continues on. Jonathan Hurst, but Rat Dan out front. He's got the clean air outside of a little bit of sprinkles on his windscreen. Now coming into the second outside zone, and there it is. Jonathan Hurst doesn't seem to be having any issues. Looks like he shook the cobwebs just out back and continues on here in this third outside zone. Ooh, and another driver gets into that third outside zone, as we saw earlier with Shanahan. Now coming to this last outside zone, there goes Rad Dan, and crossing the finish line up the bank. Slide him left and right for Dan Burkett. Dan. All right, is this the battle or are these side laps? This is a battle. Here we go. All right, so let's take a look at Mr. Hansen. Rudy Hansen, we're seeing him go against Trent Beecham. Hansen, the Team Hansen S chassis. We have not seen him run in the rain, but it has dried considerably. Now to that second outside zone, you see a quick little wall tap here, but Beecham looking comfortable. More on the Ocean than the Beecham, so Ocean him right now. Into this last outside zone, here goes Rudy Hansen. Good angle from him. Beecham lets him, gives him a little bit of room. Every time I say that, everybody's like, no, dude, they're going 97%. You know, that's what Sopa said. But here we go, Trent Beecham, that ESR BMW. He's on Kumo tires. Now coming in, and look at Rudy Hansen. He's not backing down right now. Into that second outside zone, you can see the attitude of the vehicle kind of jumping back and forth, bucking like a Bronco. Into that third outside zone, Beecham throws that back end, that duckbill wing, quack, quack. It looks comfortable in the rain. Into this last outside zone, brings it into the final outside zone, and Beecham and Hansen, Rudy Hansen, I always say he looks like he's just got off his jet ski, and pretty much that's what he just did. It's like a quarter of the way into that outside zone, there is a big puddle there. So if you get involved in that, that could throw you into the mud. So right now we're seeing Nick Novak out front, put it into that first outside zone properly. Dmitry Brutsky comes up a bit short. Now into that second outside zone, good proximity from Brutsky in the chase position. Into that third outside zone, there goes Novak. You see some corrections from Brutsky. Novak slides that back bumper, shredding a litlittle layer there like an onion, but nobody's crying. Coming up last outside zone, there goes Brutsky and Novak, bringing it on home up the bank. Yeah, it looks mellow, looks cool, but you know that accumulation of fingernails, aka the horn, is going to just come at you. Here we go. Dmitry Brutsky out front. And looking at Nick Novak in the chase position, you talked about him being aggressive, but he's very shallow. He's kind of adopting that line that Brudski had, taking that shallower line, and he's back there quite a bit. Brudski finding the grip in all of this rain and placing the car properly. That Boring Cars, again, Boring the Car Collection. Take a look at it. I know he's promoting it and sponsored by the Boring Car Collection.
Anyways,
yeah, there we go. So what is happening right now?
Actual split.
And there goes Novak, ripping out of the gate. Easy. Novak. You think the course is drying up? Yes, sir. That's right. Turns on the smoke machine on that first outside zone. Now coming in the second outside zone. Brudski dives in. He finds that grip as well. Now shooting from second to the third outside zone goes Novak and Brudski. Now let's see how Novak navigates this. Puts it right on that course edge. Lights it up. We're just talking about why they can't go one more time. Because we choose to not give them the option. Yeah, just for expedience of competition. Here we go. Dmitry Brudski will lead, and Novak chasing him down in the second outside zone. Brudski goes deeper, a little. I want to see that overhead, just that angle straight on. You can't really see exact placement, but you can see Brudski drag the wall. Now, Novak just lets him go in front. It looks like he opens the door like a nice gentleman walking into Starbucks.
I hope no one.
Yeah, let's just keep it like that.
Yeah.
All right, Nick Novak gets the victory. Ideally, we're going to get dry through the entirety of the day. Seeing like a 20% chance of rain in the back, you know. But Rad Dan, speaking of out back, talking about the molded one, Rad Dan into that first outside zone. There's a buy run, good opportunity. And then seeing quite a bit more smoke than we saw as we started things here in our seeding brackets.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit more of a sight lap, really, that he's getting with this, kind of figure out what the track's going to be like. So hopefully that means we just get an even better battle when Jack and Dan go head-to-head. That's going to be a fun set of battles. Really, Jack's on it. Dan's getting that the run through. I mean...
Here we go. So Shanahan out front, talking about Jack and Burkett coming in. Look at the swing of, I feel like maybe the handbrake isn't fixed and that's why he's throwing so much angle to slow down the car. Or, I mean, he is ripping right now. Jack Shanahan, smoke machine. Look at that wheel speed. He is jumping up there.
I'm not
now coming in.
Wheels lock.
Rad Dan Burkett, yeah, I think he might just be clutch kicking and just throwing so much angle at it. And there it is, the Rad Industries Mark IV Super coming on in. Let's see how Shanahan from the rear handles it with no handbrake. Not getting very handsy, but he is getting that big angle. And look, we don't need no stinking handbrake. Look at this. So, but Dan Burkett, great angle from him, a good lead run. And Shanahan massages it on in. Big angle from Dan Burkett, bringing it on home. And a good effort by both drivers. One more time, and uno mas. Which one's it gonna be? And we got a clear start. Shanahan, we got drier conditions, not absolutely 100% bone dry, but Shanahan rips into that first outside zone. Yo, look at Dan Burkett. Absolutely just flinging that thing to the side. This looks like a final in Saturday's main event. Shanahan places that car properly in outside zone 3. Burkett has to hold up. You saw him just hold composure there, and it ended up not working. He was kind of preloading, loading, and then unleashed, came unwound.
Steering with the right foot. Stall throttle.
What's that? I brake with no bicycles. What's that? I can ride my bike, right?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. So the great song. All right, Dan Burkett, but Shanahan now, it looks like the... regardless of the handbrake, he does not have the proximity. Dan Burkett in that second outside zone places the car properly. Shanahan now gains some ground. Burkett puts it into that outside zone 3. Shanahan bounces. He goes all over the place. But keep in mind, Burkett did have that mistake in that last outside zone. So,
you know, if I'm asking for it, maybe somebody else is.
Dan Burkett gets the victory. All right, here we go. Rudy Hansen will lead, and Nick Novak chasing him down. Boom, initiating in. Good transition and good angle from Rudy Hansen. Novak tucks in. And they are, again, we have some ideal conditions right now into that third outside zone. Hansen has ripped up, slingshots his way into that last outside zone. And, man, he holds on to that. I thought he was going to find himself in the grass. Who it's going to be. Who's going to the finals? Is it Nick Novak or Rudy Hansen coming out? Let's see if we load that slingshot, and he shoots forward in that first outside zone. Rudy Hansen does not partake. So talk about Nick picking. He is out there, but Rudy is not picking to go into that outside zone, 1 or 2, but he gets aggressive. Wow, Rudy Hansen. Oh, Rudy Tooty, fresh and fruity. IHOP just called, and he looks like he comes to a halt. Rudy Hansen, Nick Novak, and Nick Novak gets 1 vote, 2 votes, and 3 votes. So
yeah, this is such a great preview of what's to come this weekend, and seeding really sets us up for that, but let's take a look.
Here we go, send it, baby. Brad Dan Burkett, Rad Industries, looks like he has really risen to the occasion. As you said it, you really give him a lot of compliments there. Jacob Gens coming to the second outside zone. Here comes Nick Novak to the side of that Supra. He has to dive back, and now Dan Burkett brings it into that third outside zone, approaching the final. Let's see how he manages, and slides it on in. Hits it, quits it, gets back out. So like to see him a little bit deeper there. Just show they will send it here for the final time this evening. Tomorrow is all about prospect, but right now our pro seeding brackets, Novak would like to get this victory, but Dan Burkett getting a lot of confidence on this track coming into that second outside zone. You can see the car really just ready to get out of the stable and throws it to the side of the BMW. Here's Nick Novak, and look at Dan just barely letting it pass, but it just applies too much pressure. What I was going to say there is, like, I don't know why he is just being that aggressive. Like, your winner here in seeding bracket, Mr. Nick Novak gets the win. Nick Novak gets the win. Rad Dan Burkett just a little too aggressive. He gets second. So there is your 1, 2, and 3. Some great driving there in your seeding bracket. Taking a look. So, you know, Reese just said, he says, yep, just too aggressive. It was unanimous. So an easy verdict there.
Just a great preview of what the rest of this weekend's going to look like, and that's what seeding is. And hey, talking about preview, here we go, top 32. Look at the way that this lines up.